All right, when I finished the last one, we did our problem statement, and we have this right here. Now we're ready to go ahead and bang out the flowchart and code, and we'll see how easy that is. So let me move this on over, and then open up Visual Logic. This is what my last one I did, so let's go do a new one. Okay, so we're going to start with our constants. That's how we start. So constant input, calculations, output, that'll be all put in here. Constant has a zero, has an equal sign, so that means an assignment. So I'll left mouse click on the arrow and choose assignment. Every time there's an equal sign, it's an assignment. You can see the equal signs right there. I double click on it and I'll copy ticket price, Control C, paste it in, Control V, and then I can type 10 without making any error. So I copy and paste all names, all text, and then I can type numbers because numbers aren't as difficult to, or more difficult to make an error. All right, next thing is num tickets. You can see that's an input. So I choose input for that. Whenever you're doing input, you have to click on more, and we have num tickets. So Control C, Control V. So that's the variable. That's where we want to store it. And the answer, the question we want to ask goes right here. So we do 2 double quotes, and then I ask a question. So the question you ask just has to make sense. How many tickets? Question mark. And this always has to be in quotes. It has to start with a quote, end with a quote. Everything goes in between. If you have anything outside the quote, it's going to throw an error. In fact, I'll do that just so you can see. All right, and then we have a calculation that has an equal sign. So we're going to use an assignment. Again, so we have total costs, Control C, Control V, that goes on the left. And then on the other side of the equal sign, I have this math, Control C, Control V, and that's done. And then the last thing I have is my output. And I'm going to output the total cost. Control C, Control V. Now, if I run it, it's going to give me a number. But imagine if I also wanted to do how many tickets, then it would give me 2 numbers, but I wouldn't know what those numbers meant. So what we always do with output is we start with a label. So I do 2 double quotes and then back into it. And I'm going to say total cost of tickets, colon, space, space. So that's the label I want to put on the number. And then outside the quote, I'm going to add a join symbol, which is the plus symbol, and then my place in memory. So it's going to say total cost of tickets, colon, space, space, and then whatever number is in, or whatever number is the result of these tickets. So let's go ahead. Now we can go ahead and run it and see if it works. And I hit the run button right here. It asks me how many tickets. I say 10. And we know 10 times 10 is 100. So my cost is 100. And you can see the 100 there. Wouldn't it be nice to have a dollar symbol? So let's go ahead and do that. If, again, inside the quote, because it's part of the label, I'm going to put a dollar symbol. And now when I run it again, 10, and now it's 100. Let me show you again what happens if you get an error. So again, if I put it in here and I put a outside of the quote, it's going to be very upset about that. And then when I try to run it, it's going to say there's an error. It's not very good with the error message. It doesn't tell you what went wrong. Let me just tell you that what almost always happens with input is you have something outside the quote. Nothing else you can really do. The only thing you can do else is put a space in your variable name. Other than that, it's always something outside that. So just be careful. Sometimes you might have press enter by mistake and then it disappears. And then you type it again and then you press enter and it disappears. Another thing, if you don't see anything outside the quote, is to drag down the bottom and it'll show you where the rest of the text is. All right. All right. So again, so this is, we just did this. In order for us to save it, we're going to do create flowchart meta file. This again is in my assignment 2 lessons. And I'm just going to put in here ticket. Let's do movie ticket flowchart. I'm not going to put anything at the end. It's automatically going to put the EMF, and I'm going to save it. Now I can look at that later on. All right, now the next thing we need to do is code. We need to code this because we know it works. So now I'm going to go back into my folder, go into my HTML software, HTML kit, bin, and then HTML kit exe, not the shortcut. Should probably go in there and delete that. But you should learn to be able to avoid those things. All right, it didn't do the normal thing because I've been working on this. So once you open and close it one time, it pretty much comes back to this. So if it asks you a bunch of questions, the answer to the questions are always no. Also, what it does is it has extra stuff on here. Whoops, not that. Usually when you start it up, it looks like this, and we want to get rid of these files, and we want to get rid of the message workspace down here. We don't need it. Next thing I'm going to do is delete all this and put my script tags in. So it's lesson symbol, script, greater than symbol, script. All right, and now I'm ready to go ahead and start coding. And I'm going to put a few spaces in there, and then I'm going to copy from constants down to output. Control C, Control V. Well, move down a little bit. Look at that. And now I got almost all my code. So the first line, or the first line after script, is where we're going to put our blank places in memory, VAR. If you remember from assembly language, we did M1, M2, M3, but now we have names, so that's a little bit easier. So what do I need for a blank place in memory? Well, I'm going to use this as declaring the memory. All input and the results of all calculations. So num tickets, Control C, Control V, comma space, and total cost, Control C, Control V, and then I end it with a semicolon. So that's all I have to do. I need a blank place in memory for all my input and a blank place in memory for the result of all my calculations. Many times the result of our calculations are going to be output, so you can copy it from there because it's the same name. Now, constants, I'm going to keep that there so I know what's going on. I'm just going to put 2 slashes in front of it. That makes it a comment, so it's ignored by the JavaScript. And then here, I'm going to do var ticket price. And what that's going to do is it's going to declare ticket price and put 10 in it. That's called initializing the variable. If we were using the Java programming language, we'd have to do that. We couldn't do this. We'd have to do that for every single value. Thank goodness we don't have to do that though. But anytime we have a constant, we do var, the name of the place in memory, and then how we want to start it out. Then input, we have 2 slashes. Okay, because that's a kind of comment. And then when we do our prompt, you can go into your flowchart and copy and paste the prompt from there, but I think it's just as easy just typing it. So I'm going to say that I want to assign to the place in memory called num tickets what's returned from my prompt, PROMPT, open and close parentheses, semicolon. So that's how you should start it out. Inside the prompt value, we have 2 arguments. We have what question do you want to ask? So I'll put 2 quotes in there and say, how many tickets do you want? Question mark. Okay, that has to go inside. Then I have a second argument, and arguments are separated by commas. And then I have a second value here. This second value inside the quotes is what do you want to start the box off with? So I'm going to start off with 10, so I don't have to type the 10 when I run the code. Next is our calculations. And again, I have to put 2 slashes because this is not code, that's just a comment. And all I have to do is put a semicolon at the end and I'm done. Easy. Then I have my output, 2 slashes. And then for my output, I have to do document dot write, open and close parentheses, semicolon. If you're not sure how to do this, I have the cheat sheet page that has this, and you can always go off one of the lessons too. So again, just like we had in our flow chart, in fact, if you wanted to, you can copy it from your flow chart. I still have mine open. You can't do it from the picture, but this is my label, and this is my join symbol. So if I just copy that, Control C, I can put that in front of total cost, and it's perfect. All right, so you need a label, a join symbol, and a place in memory. Let's go ahead and run it. How many tickets do I want? 10. Cost of tickets is $100. So this is working absolutely perfect. So the last thing we want to do is save it. Again, this is lesson 2. Oh, this is in this is assignment 2. So we're working towards assignment 2, and these are the lessons. And then here, all I got to do is change untitled and call it something else. And this is movie tickets. And it's that movie tickets.htm. Save it. And now I'm ready to move on to my next problem. Again, if I want to reopen this, you don't open it from here. All right, so you wouldn't go into assignment 2 lessons and double click on this. If you do, it's going to open up in the browser, and I want that. Instead, you come in here and you can either do the file or you can hit the open file and then open it up from here. And that's how you see your script. All right, that's the end of this lesson.